Hi class, this is your instructor Megan. In this video I want to talk about evaluation reports. This week you're going to write an evaluation report for another person based on a cognitive walkthrough that you write for them. You're also going to get together with your teammate and write an evaluation report together about the results of your user test. So you gotta know what evaluation reports are. And then the next step in the class is to take all of your testing materials and write one big evaluation report about what all three of them found. So let's look at evaluation reports. Evaluation reports explain the prototype's usability deficiencies. They're a way to prioritize problems and suggest improvements. So just as an example, I used to work for the Center for Media Design here on campus, and we would explore potential for apps in television. We had a partnership with the Cable Developers Network, and so we would be tasked with figuring out what is the future of mobile experiences with television, or we actually did some interactive television stuff as well. Well, we would design things, we would send them out to a lab on campus, which is no longer here, that would test them for us. So we would have to meet with the lab and tell them, here's what we want to know about what we made. We want to know if people like it. We want to know how people use it. We want to know how much time they look at our creations versus how much time they watch TV while they're doing, we made second screen things. So people would have a tablet or a phone and watch TV. We wanted to know how much time do they look at what we made, how much time do they look at the TV. So we would have questions. These are areas of inquiry that you learned about last week. What do we want them to do? We want them to test it. They write the test protocol. We just kind of look over it, make sure we like it, think it's getting at what we're asking. They implement the tests. We don't want raw data from them. We don't want just a bunch of interviews and numbers. We want them to tell us what is wrong with what we made and how we might fix it. That's what an evaluation report is. It's sort of a summary of, hey, we did the test, and these are the biggest problems we found, and here's how you might fix them. So it's not just a copy and paste job of the test results. If the usability experts who were looking at our projects and testing them with users sent us back numbers and interview responses, we wouldn't know how to interpret that. We weren't there when the test happened. We weren't there to understand how we might interpret that information. You are going to have that in your evaluation report, but it's going to go in an appendix. So for example, with your cognitive walkthrough, you are going to fill out someone else's cognitive walkthrough form based on their prototype, but you're going to then write an evaluation report summarizing the problems you found, and the form you filled out is just going to be an appendix that you stick on the end. So what do we need to do for an evaluation report? Well, first we need to write a cover page just introducing what I'm about to look at. This is the names of the teammates, names of the reviewer or tester, and then we need to figure out what the problems are. What are the problems we saw in this test? Whatever we did, whether it was user tests or an expert evaluation, what were the problems? For each problem, we're going to identify the usability issue that problem is. Usability consists of 6, possibly 7 if you add satisfaction, which I will allow you guys to do this week. Goals, metrics, ways of thinking about usability, whether something's learnable, memorable, safe. If it's not those things, it's not usable. If it is those things, it is usable. So every problem is going to match up with some kind of usability problem. If somebody can't find a button, maybe that's a learnability issue because they can't learn the site. Maybe it's a memorability issue because they've already been on the site but they don't seem to remember it. So for every problem you uncover in your evaluation, you're going to explain what's the usability goal that this problem represents. Then you're going to describe the problem. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'll go through these one by one. Usability goal, you're going to look over your testing materials and get a sense of what the usability issues are. So for a cognitive walkthrough, you're going to look through the cognitive walkthrough that you did. Each cognitive walkthrough has tasks with steps, and each step has a question that you answer. So you're going to look through that and sort of figure out, okay, where did I get stuck? Where did I think the user would get stuck? What are the issues? For your user tests, this is going to be where you observed people getting stuck, or where the results of your Likert scale and ranking questions indicate they were stuck. And you're going to get a sense of what usability issue that represents. You're going to write that down. Then you're going to describe the problem in as much detail as possible. So for example, a learnability problem might be that the contact button has a different typeface and different color than the other buttons. And in my user test, I observed that 8 of the 10 people didn't click it and got confused and didn't know it was the contact button. So I might explain that in the problem. Problem, you know, usability goal, learnability, problem. People did not seem to understand that the contact button is really a button. This is likely because it's a different color. 8 out of 10 people didn't click it. Whatever my problem is. And then I'm going to give a representative statement. And this is what the user said or did that indicated the problem. Or in a cognitive walkthrough example, what the expert predicted or said about your design. So you might have multiple representative statements. If you go back to that example of the contact button not being right, maybe you asked users where they got stuck, and 5 of the users said the contact button was confusing. And one of them specifically said, I didn't understand the contact button. It was a different color. I thought maybe it did something else. I can use that exact quote as my representative statement. Maybe, though, it's an observation. Maybe I observed the problem. Maybe I observed that 8 out of 10 people hesitated over the contact button and then didn't click it. That might be my representative statement. I might just type out 8 of the 10 users hovered over the button but didn't click it, and when asked later, they said they were confused. If this is a cognitive walkthrough, you're the expert, you might just go back and see what you wrote about the problem and use that as a representative statement. So you should focus on 1 or 2 representative statements that get at the heart of the problem. Don't tell me every single little thing that told you this was a problem. Just give me something that represents that issue. Next, you need a recommendation. Now, the recommendation is what and how. What should be changed and how should it be changed? So don't just write something vague like the navigation needs to be improved. That doesn't help the person who made the prototype. What are they supposed to do? It needs to be improved. How? Be very specific. Add a categories tab to the navigation. So be specific and tell the prototyper exactly what they need to do to fix this problem. If we go back to the contact button example, I would write, my recommendation is to change the contact button to the same color as the other buttons and use the same typeface as the other buttons. And then finally, I'm going to rank the severity. So how severe is this problem? You can see your readings about this. One of your readings, I think, suggests using numbers for this, like ranking it on a scale of 1 to 5. One of your readings recommends using severity words like critical or major and minor. So go look at the reading if you have questions about this. I'm not going to go over it. You should be doing the readings. After that, order the problems based on severity. So once you write up all the problems, go through and see the severity and order them that way. Put the most important critical problems at the top of your document and the least important problems at the bottom. The reason you want to do this is because in the professional world, not all the problems get solved. Sometimes when designing, you have to figure out, okay, I only have so much time. What's critical to fix? So going back to when I worked at the CMD, if we got 10 pages of problems and we only had time to fix a few, if the problems were ranked by severity, we could just literally rip the first few pages off that document, fix those, and ignore the rest. So you want to rank these, you want to order them based on severity. Last but not least, you're going to put your raw data or your original test form. So your user tests are going to generate numerical data and interview data and maybe observations about behavior. You're going to type all that up and include it in your raw data. Now for your charts, for your numerical questions, you are going to make charts. There's another video on how to do that. For your your cognitive walkthrough, you're just going to include the original test form. So what was the form you were given and what were the answers you typed up in the form? The appendix is where you put the raw information. The evaluation report is your analysis of that data. So the biggest mistake I see here is that I just don't get an evaluation report. I just get the raw data with a paragraph that kind of summarizes, oh, hey, there were some usability issues there attached. No, you need to go through the whole evaluation report. You need to name a usability goal, problem statement, representative statement, recommendation, and severity for every problem that you found. That's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.